Swimming requires absolute focus for any competitor, both mentally and physically. For many, reaching the pinnacle of the sport, whether an NCAA championship title or an Olympic gold medal, there needs to be, of course, some raw natural-born talent coupled with an intense hunger to win and a rigorous training regimen. Of course, the sport is not one size fits all when it comes to the approach, but this plan is preached by most coaches. Now, different races lead to different racing strategies. The 50 free is a no-brainer. Give everything you have from the start. The 500-yard freestyle is different. A strategy can definitely be made. The way I used to swim was hammering the last 150 to 200 yards with my back-end speed. Sometimes I still had a little something left in the tank and could have even been better. Others choose to hold a steady pace throughout the race. I wanted to get some concrete evidence of how the top swimmers in the NCAA swim their races. To begin, I went to swimcloud.com and looked at the results for the Division I men's 500-yard freestyle from 2022. SwimCloud provides the splits for each individual swimmer. With these splits, I can see how each swimmer approached their race. I knew I needed several years worth of data, and I did not want to have to extract the data by hand. I used Python to make this process faster. Using a package called Selenium to navigate the SwimCloud website, just as I have shown you, Selenium would click through the different years of the NCAA championship, as well as the different divisions, 1, 2, and 3, clicking on each swimmer in the 500-yard freestyle, web scrape the HTML code of their splits, and store it in a pandas data frame in my Jupyter notebook. From there, I took several steps to sanitize the data and categorize it into something digestible. So this table here shows the difference in seconds between each 50. Take a look here. The difference in seconds at column 5 for Division 1 is 0.08 seconds, meaning that the fifth 50 will likely yield a 0.08 or eighth 100th second increase when comparing the medians. So a swimmer could go 25 seconds flat on the fourth 50 and 25.08 on the fifth 50, leading to a 0.08 second increase. Most of these numbers are positive, meaning the swimmers get slower as the race goes on. This intuitively makes sense. As a swimmer gets more tired, they will start to add time. The 9th and 10th 50 see negative seconds, meaning the swimmers are getting faster, which also makes intuitive sense, since swimmers will give everything they have to finish. At the top, you have which 50 they are on, and the left side shows the division we are in. Obviously, the first 50 will always be the fastest because of the dive, so we could ignore the difference in seconds for the column with a 2 above it. As the race goes on, the differences get closer and closer to 0, meaning the swimmers are almost even splitting. Looking down the rows, you can see there might be some differences between the divisions, but they are pretty close. So it looks like the divisions as a whole may be pretty similar in how they approach the 500-yard freestyle, with the Division I swimmers approaching the race a little more evenly. Now, this new table shows the differences in splits for the top 16 swimmers across several years of data at the different divisions. Looking across the columns, again, the swimmers appear to asymptotically approach 0, just as the divisions as a whole. But here's the rub. Looking down the rows, the Division I swimmers are consistently closer to 0 than their other division counterparts. The top 16 in Division I are considered to be slightly better than Division II and III swimmers, but believe me, the top 16 in any division are elite swimmers. But the best of the best appear to be swimming a more even pace than the rest of the world. Finally, this third table shows the swimmers who did not qualify for the top 16. These swimmers are still elite, but they are not the best of the best in each division. Looking across the rows, you can see the difference in splits approach 0, but the differences are much larger than the top 16. Remember, this is the median. These splits are not affected by any outliers. The swimmers who swam a slower race in all divisions tended to go out a little faster than they could handle and ended up going slower in the end. And looking down the rows, you can see that the Division I swimmers swam a race closer to an even split than the Division II and Division III. So what does all this mean? Well, I believe it comes down to the training. As you watch me warm up here at the Division II NCAA Championship, I'm practicing holding a pace, staying long off my walls, and having good turns. But at the end of the day, when I'm in a race, I'm going to resort to the one thing that has been consistent throughout my entire season, my training. Whatever I was holding in practice and pacing myself to do, I will most likely engage in that pace in a race. Because as anyone who has swam before, when you enter a race and you get that flow state, all you can do is let your body take over as you motivate yourself to race those around you. I have no idea what pace I am holding. All I know is I want to beat the guy next to me. My body has an idea of my pacing though, and an internal clock that will yield to its training. If I want to train and be one of the top guys at the NC2A level, then my race strategy should be similar to the top guys in Division I swimming, even splitting my 500, and therefore I should train the same way in practice, even splitting my paces. If you like this video and are interested more in the subject, I will leave a link to my GitHub in the description, which has my entire thesis in paper form and my code. I used machine learning models and regressions in the paper, but I figured I would keep it simple here. Thanks.